All right, good evening, everyone. I would like to welcome you to tonight's Board of Trustees special meeting. It is August 31, 2021 at 6:02. If we could please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's see. This meeting will be conducted live with access being provided via video conference or phone. The electronic meeting is authorized pursuant to the Michigan Open Meetings Act, MCL 15.263A, and the current order of a statewide or local state of emergency or state of disaster. Public comment and questions will be accepted during the meeting at an appropriate time. So, Madam Clerk, if we could please have the roll.
Supervisor Kittle.
Here.
Clerk Newbeck here. Treasurer Loughran.
Here.
Trustee Aliaga.
Here.
Trustee Brown.
Here.
Trustee Nalamothu.
Here.
And Trustee Ritchie.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. If I could please have a motion to approve the agenda.
Move to approve the agenda as presented. Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. If there are no comments or questions, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. Board and public announcements. Board members and or individuals in the audience may make a statement containing information about a recent or upcoming event.
I have something.
Madam Clerk.
I'd like to share something from Kim Fegley, the Director of Assessing. She states, I wish to express my deepest gratitude to Supervisor Kittle for his time served in public service. In my 40-plus years as a public servant, working with numerous elected officials, I have never experienced a manager of this caliber with the vision and the drive that Pat has exercised. Pat listened to us. He drove in learning the statutory overview and responsibilities of our departments. He gave each of us his direct reports, the resources, encouragement, and the room to grow, thus rising the bar in the services we provide to our township residents and businesses, all the while increasing the skills and integrity of our support staff, whom he recognized on a daily basis. It wasn't always a harmonious venture. However, with each challenge, I can confidently say we came out with better answers than we started with. I'm certain each of your directors can attest to your sleepless nights wrestling for the best answers when we read numerous emails written at 3 o'clock in the morning. Not many saw firsthand the heart that you put into this job. God bless you, Pat, your wife Kim, and your beautiful family for the time served. You have touched the lives of many. It has truly been an honor. Kim Fegley.
Jeez. That was very nice. All right.
Do you need a tissue?
I started blubbering up here. I'm going to apologize right now. So thank you guys. Very, very kind. Anybody else? Please don't read anything else like that because I will break down. So, hearing none, moving on. Public comment. Members of the audience, the public have the opportunity to address the board on items that do not appear on the agenda. Does anyone have anything that they would like to address the board on that do not appear on the agenda? Hearing none. All right, now we go to regular business agenda items. Supervisor appointment. And I am going to turn the meeting over to our attorney and to my clerk because I have absolutely no idea what to do. I know we did have an excellent opportunity to listen to all of the candidates last week.
We did.
I would like to thank each and every one of you for putting your name in the hats. I know we had the opportunity to review resumes and applications, and again, the pedigrees and the skill set, again, is second to none. Then you are going to be sending out an email asking the intentions of the candidates moving beyond the interim period. And
That's correct.
I didn't know if you wanted to share those results or not.
I can certainly share them. I shared them with the board and the applicants, but I can read them so the others will know. So the question, as Mr. Kittle said, was asking the applicants of their interest in running for the position for supervisor then in August and November of 2022. I have them in alphabetical order. First is Trustee Aliaga, and these are actually quotes from their emailed answers. Yes, I will run for re-election if I get appointed, but if I don't get appointed, I will continue to serve my community as a township trustee. If the individual that gets appointed as supervisor performs poorly, then I will run for supervisor in the next election. Applicant Bauer, his answer said, the simple answer is yes. That was my intent if chosen for the position now, and quite possibly yes, depending on other factors if not. Trustee Brown said, yes, I do. And actually, Trustee Nalamothu, although she was an earlier applicant, she has withdrawn her application, so I don't have a response from her this evening on that. And lastly, applicant Stewart said the board has asked candidates to advise if they'll run for the position of supervisor in the next election. I am committed to serving out the remainder of Supervisor Kittle's term. I will decide on running for the next 4-year term in time for the primary election.
Bless you out there, whoever sneezed. I know we've got a lot of people in the audience. Maybe a course of action here would be let the public speak and let the board listen. If you could just come up to the podium, give us your name and address, and address the board in terms of what's on your mind. Boy, you're going to make a mistake for being the first one in. We're going to ask you to be the first one up. Just kidding. But if you would mind, just come up and address the board and share whatever you want to share.
I'm sorry I didn't look at the.
Oh, that's okay. That's all right.
Agenda.
Go ahead, ma'am.
I'm
We got
here to speak
we got our first victim coming up here.
I'm here to speak for Jose, for Super, oh.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, how are you?
Hello. Your name and address,
Good
please.
afternoon. My name is Milady Martinez, and 7610 Clintonville Road, Clarkson. Member of the board, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. I know personally Jose Aliaga. We work together, knocking on doors. I am a witness of his hard work, his experience, his intelligence. He has a bachelor degree that I know, master degree. He's a very good man, and he's committed with the people here in Clarkston. I am a witness of that. He loved Clarkston. He loved the people, and I ask you to vote for Jose Aliaga for supervisor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Thank you
God
very much
bless
for
you.
coming up. Would our next guest care to come up and introduce themselves? And
Linda Ibarra-Bazone, 7925 Foster Road, Clarkston, Michigan.
hi, Linda.
Hello, everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. I am here tonight to support Jose Aliaga in his bid to become candidate for the Township Supervisor. I apologize ahead of time if I get emotional. I've known Jose Aliaga since 2000 when he first came to Michigan, and he didn't know any English, nothing. And he came to our church, and he was just such a wonderful young man that all of us, pitched in to help him as much as we can. And so that's how I met him. He volunteered at my children's school. They went to Mount Zion School, and he helped them with their Spanish. He was my kids' soccer coach, and he left such an impression on them that as he ran for office, they were there to support him, pass out flyers, passed out drinks to the people who were at the polls. And now that they all live in Clarkston, they vote for him now that they're here. So he's made a big impact on my children's life, and I can personally speak to that. I mentioned this because, like I said, I've known Jose for 21 years. Jose is a very community-oriented person, and he's always been from the very beginning. All the residents in Clarkston, he considers them as individual people, and he knows their personal needs. I know that when I was working with him on one of the campaigns, you know, people would say, "You're the first person that's ever knocked on my door." And that was impactful. And I think that that goes to show, you know, in the last election, in the last general election, he had the most votes of all the trustees, and by a lot. And so I think that says something about him, that he actually, you know, got the most votes in every precinct in Clarkston. So I think that says a lot about him as a person and how the voters feel about him. One of the reasons for Jose's popularity, like I said, was knocking on doors, willing to talk to people at all hours. And he gives them their cell phone number, and he's available. I know that Jose did not take the job of trustee for the pay. We know that it's, like $410 a month. It's because he wants to serve his community. And I think that he has the most experience, not only here in the township. He's been a township trustee, I believe, 9 years now, and also internationally and in the state of Michigan as well. So Jose has a bachelor's degree and a master's degree from the University of Michigan. And I know he has an accent, but you know, you can't get a master's degree of U of M if your English isn't, you know, where it needs to be. So I really hope that you'll vote for Jose Aliaga and appoint him as supervisor. Linda Bazone, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, Linda.
Thank you.
Would our next guest care to come up and say a couple of words? If you could give us your name and address, please.
Dorothy Day, 5765 Dora Lane, Independence, Michigan.
Hi, Dorothy.
I always say that because I don't live anywhere close to Clarkston. I have been here 25 years. We built a home well before there was Great Lakes Crossing or the other, whatever they were calling it, the old, whatever. But it's been a great 25 years, and I hope to make it many more. I've known Jose since about 2010, so it hasn't been as long as Linda, but he's always proved to me to be a loyal and trusting friend, and such a hard worker for whatever charity it might be. We worked on a different charity together for a friend's mutual deceased friend. And he does. He said before, I know that what drives him is his passion for people. Part of that, you know, is exhibited in one of his foundations, the work that he's done for the children of Peru and the Amazon, and all of that stuff. And that drive and passion comes to the schools with the cable TV setup that they're public access, or at least it used to be public access. I've worked for the state of Michigan for 37 years before I retired. And I traveled the state. I knew politicians from all over the place. And I must admit that most of the time my opinion is that you don't want to know how the sausage is made. And an awful lot of two-faced people and just glad-handers. And Jose is not that. He really takes seriously everything that he does. And I know that coming from Southfield, where I worked on public access TV, moving the equipment and stuff to the high school, I think was one of the greatest ideas for the area, because it does give kids a way to get into a different kind of performance or technical abilities for what they do. And I know that he does listen to people, and he does deliberate on his positions on things. So I would highly recommend Jose to become the next supervisor of the township.
Thank you, Dorothy.
Mm-hmm.
Could I please ask the next guest to come up and please address the board?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Rolly Roldan. I live on 6162 Cheshire Park Drive, so just up the road. You know, one of the things that made me, I haven't been a resident for many years here, but one of the things that made me choose Clarkson and bring my family to Clarkson is just the community. You know, we decided between Lake Orion, Waterford, Rochester, and Clarkson, and one of the things that I did see in Clarkson is the passion for the community. And along the way, I've met some great people. We've lived in the community for 2 years, and I have 3 children, ages 6, 4, and 1. And all I want to see is the community succeed and become great, right? So one of the things that brought me to Clarkson was, to be honest, Jose. I've known Jose probably a little over 5 years, and you know, the passion and that he has for the community is exactly what I wanted to see out of a community, right? I've been, you know, I think you see him out there, you see him knocking on doors, you see his passion for, you know, fundraising, you know, charitable events, and you know, if that's somebody who's on the board or somebody who's the trustee, or imagine what they can do as a supervisor for a community. And so, you know, as a young person who has young kids and be in the community, that's exactly what I want going forward. So I'm just here to hopefully that you can vote for Jose, and that's it.
Thanks, Rowland. Thank you. Appreciate it, sir. Hey, Kev.
How you doing? I didn't expect to be up here. Very interested in what happens tonight, but being a 32-year-old or 32-year employee here, 48-year resident, now Brandon resident, still Clarkson's my home, Independence Township's my home. And no offense to you, Jose, passion is wonderful. But in the world we're living in today, we need leadership. And I'm not saying you wouldn't be the guy, but I think Dale Stewart is the guy. Former township supervisor, just dedicated to serving the community that he lives in. I just feel he would be the best fit for the township. Thank you.
Thanks, Kev. Please step up. How you doing?
Good.
Share your name and address, please.
I'm Jim Rogers. I live at 8925 Minnewana in Thundera Park. I'm here to support Jose. I've known him for a long time. I thought I'd add maybe differently than a lot of folks around here know. I'm a long-term resident here, 50 plus years in Oakland County, 35 of the last years here in Independence Township. But I know him from a business perspective, so I'm a global business guy. And in business terms, what he did when he got votes, we call it the voice of the customer. And being tuned in, you heard several people testify that he goes out and knocks on people's doors. He really gets to know who he's serving. And I can just attest that he's very, very interested in serving people. He knows the people around him, and he gets that voice of the customer. In business, we'd never do anything if people aren't qualified, right? You never put somebody in a role, let alone leadership, if they don't have the right education and if they don't have experience with exactly what's going on. And so having 9 years of experience here under Pat, knowing the ins and outs and how things work, I've seen him interface with all different kinds of levels, federal, state, international business people, bring investment here. I think that experience will let him lead very, very well. And then I see a lot of people get elected without any degree that's relevant if they have a degree. And not only does Jose have 2 associate's degrees from a local institution from OCC, but he went to U of M and got his undergrad degree and a master's degree in very relevant topics, political science and administration. That is the job. And to have the opportunity to elect somebody like him that's got that kind of a background at this level, I just think it's a kind of business term, like no-brainer. You should think about that. And then I know him from a personal point of view too. So we go to church together, and I know his character, and I can say that I've worked on projects with him to do business things, and so I have direct experience, and I can attest to what everybody else said, the same thing. He's just got a ton of integrity and passion for people. So my recommendation is that he'd make a great superintendent, and I hope you'll consider him. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. I see a bunch of yous out there. There's got to be something on your mind. Sam, you're never short of words.
Hey guys, my name's Dave Gittens. I live at 5376 Sunnyside Drive.
Hi, Dave.
I'll make this short and brief, but I've known Jose pretty much since I've moved to the city.
Could you silence that, please?
I remember moving here, wanting to start a family. We were looking at multiple places. We were looking at Commerce and Rochester and Clarkston, and it just felt like home here. But one of the first faces that we saw, besides our neighbors, was Jose. And he was knocking on doors. He was doing things that I had never really seen before. You know, I followed politics, but I hadn't really seen anybody that was like, trying for grassroots engagement. And so, I supported him at that point. We continued to align, and I'd see him in the community. I'd see him at Independence parades and stuff like that. And he just, I should share that we also go to the same church, so I see him engaged in that as well. And I've gotten to know his character. I've gotten to know that he's a trustworthy individual and somebody that I call my friend. So I'm supporting him for supervisor, and I hope he gets it. So,
Thanks, Dave.
guys.
Thanks for coming up. Sam?
It's kind of a big deal, so I'll talk. What you guys got going on?
I'm surprised you didn't run up here to be first.
No. Sam Morocco, 8815 Pine Knob Road. So as all you guys know me, obviously, I've been on the Planning Commission almost 20 years. I've worked with the township under 3 administrations. I'm not here to talk about who I think is going to do the best job, but people come up to me in the last 20 years and they, complain about the township, all different administrations and people, and I always had the same answer. If you elect a used car salesman to run a 150-plus person service organization, don't be disappointed if it doesn't go well. That it's always, we've had people that this wasn't their profession, this isn't their specialty, come in here, and some have done a great job and some have done a mediocre job, but it wasn't their profession to come in and run a big service organization, which is what you are supposed to be doing for the residents. So, from my point of view, I have no doubt that Jose, who I know, would do the job with as much energy and passion as he could, and would do the best job he possibly could. I have absolutely no doubt about it. My issue is that because supervisors are not professionals typically at supervising, that I think it's up to the people to get stuck with who they get stuck with, whether it be a person that's good or whether it's a person that's bad. And for that reason, I think that the person who has the most experience to get us through to the election is undoubtedly Dale Stewart, not because of any past things he's done or future things I expect of him, but because he's done it. He's the only one that's done it. He's qualified to do it. He's got the experience to do it, and I think it gives an unfair advantage to trustees to be appointed by the board, not the people, to be the supervisor, and then run in the next election and have an unfair advantage against the passionate people here, abroad, and people that haven't come forward yet that want to run for the supervisor position next year. And I think that the fairest, best transitional way would be to have somebody that's already done the job come in here and do it. I think that after so many terms, alliances and cliques and things, I've seen it through multiple administrations happen, and that drives decisions at all levels of the township and development, fiscal responsibility, and everything. I think it's at least every few terms, it's good to shake it up, get some people in here to reevaluate what's going on, see if the path we're on is good, and maybe change a few of the things that people are having an issue with. And for no other reason than those, nothing to do with personal beliefs I think people could do. I think that that's the right way to address it, and then it's the people's, it's their issue when the election comes up, who they get stuck with, or who we get the benefit of having, whichever one it is. Thank you.
Thanks, Sam. Ladies and gentlemen, podium is yours. It's okay, you guys can line up over here. It'll help speed things up a little bit.
My name's Terry Whitney. I live at 4814 Sundale here in Clarkston.
Hi, Terry.
Many of you I know, some of you I see at Republican events, at least two of you, the rest of you, I see you at the bar and stuff. Way high now. I completely disagree with Sam Morocco. He's a great guy. He's ran a few times. Here nor there, we ran against each other. He's a good guy. Him and I actually have a lot of the same beliefs. However, when it comes right down to it, tonight we have a choice. We have somebody who's qualified, equally qualified when it comes to a master's degree running this township. We have somebody who has 9 years experience, or we have some guy that, I don't even know who this Dale Stewart is, but I didn't vote for him. I haven't seen him on the voter records in the last 3 elections that I've been here. I mean, who is this guy? Is he here? Okay, so we're supposed to pick you because back in what year? What year are you asking me about? What year did you run?
I kind of object to that. I don't believe you're here to state your opinion, not interview him.
Okay.
He's done his interview. I don't think that's fair. I'd appreciate it if you didn't do that.
Fair enough. At any rate, in no memorable history, we have somebody who wants to be appointed to run the township for the next 11 months. That's not cool. We have a vote. We voted for you, all of you. We picked Supervisor Kettle to run this township. He has health issues. He has to step out, or whatever the case is. Fine. Then one of you 4 or 5 people running up here, pick someone. Because I don't want to see my tax dollars go up. And I don't want these tax dollars spent because you guys can't decide which one of you is not qualified enough to run. We have one guy who's a shoo-in. We have 3 other people who probably want to do it. You probably do a great job doing it. But for the next 11 months, let's avoid that BS. Let's just slide it on over. Pick somebody else to do the trustee. I don't really care who you pick for the trustee. I don't want the job. Sam Rocco probably wants to do it. Whatever the case may be.
Sam's shaking his head.
Oh, if I wanted it.
Yeah. But whatever the case may be, let's just move on. This is silliness. I mean, if any of this audience is any indication of what the township will feel tomorrow morning, when you guys, arbitrarily decide something different, what do you think your pressure is going to be like tomorrow morning when the media picks up on it? They say, oh, well, you know what? A bunch of white people picked another white guy. Cool. That's my statement. Have a nice day.
Thanks, Terry. Podium is open. Hello.
Good afternoon, everybody. Voy a hablar en español porque my daughter.
He says he'll be speaking in Spanish. I'll be his translator.
Okay.
Porque cuando estoy en público no fluye mi inglés.
Because when he's in public, his English does not go fluently.
That's fine.
Right, so, conozco a José de mucho tiempo atrás
We've known Jose a long time ago.
y ha sido un hombre muy metido con la comunidad,
He's a very good man. He's always been with the community
sin tener algún cargo público.
with no charges, and he's always there.
Todas las veces que ha ayudado a la comunidad,
Every time he helps the community,
nunca ha esperado él nada a cambio.
he's never wanted something in exchange.
Y tenemos muchas personas que pueden decir exactamente lo mismo.
And we have a lot of people also who could say the same exact thing.
Ha tenido muchos logros académicos, José, durante su tiempo, su trayectoria.
Jose has achieved a lot of goals he has had in the past.
Pero lo que yo más veo que ha logrado es conectarse con la comunidad.
But the thing he has seen and observed is that he has achieved connecting with the community the most.
En todo el tiempo.
In the whole time he has seen him.
Y yo creo que él puede ser un gran supervisor.
And he thinks that he could be a great supervisor.
No por sus logros académicos.
Not because of his goals that he accomplished.
Que eso es bueno.
Which is good.
Pero él puede ser un gran supervisor porque él tiene el corazón para hacer ese cargo.
But he has the heart to be in this position.
So,
that is it, and thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah, it's Daniel Torres.
I'm sorry, my name is Daniel Torres.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ray? How you doing?
Good. Ray Llewellyn, 9254 Pine Knob Road. My husband and I, Arnold Llewellyn, we sent a letter to all the board members, and we feel that instead of one of the trustees being removed from the board and needing to be replaced, we have Dale Stewart, who's done the job before, has the experience. Let's just go with it. Thank you.
Thanks, Ray.
Evening. My name's Jeff McGee, 8751 Onondaga, 31-year resident here and two-term trustee and number of years as the zoning appeals chairperson. I didn't think I'd ever have to come back here to have conversation or anything like that. I just thought that it was very evident that when Paul Brown offered to fill that position, that there wouldn't be any question that he would be the most qualified candidate. And I can share a story, I guess, a little bit, where when I was elected, I didn't know what I was doing. I had jumped up and resolved some issue over on Walters Lake where, as a young man, we had a problem. And a guy named Frank Millard, who became a friend of mine, suggested that I run for trustee. And the historical part of it is that I had a great experience doing it and so forth. At the time that I was trustee, we had one of the biggest financial debacles that ever came about, where our treasurer had invested in some pretty risky investments and really risked a lot of the township's residents' money, and it became very problematic. So over the years, as a business person and an outsider, I continued to observe that the electoral form of township government is a bit of a popularity contest in that we become very fortunate when we get the caliber of leadership like we have, for instance, with you, Pat, and the rest of the board, and others, including Dale Stewart. However, there was something that I was always troubled by, in that I had this need to limit what I thought was not wanting to become a historian, right? You serve and you have purpose outside of the township, but you come and serve. So I served for those 2 terms. I did my thing, and I had colleagues that I would refer to as historians because they would always want to talk about what happened, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, and so forth. And the thing that concerned me the most was that as the budget for a township of this size continued to grow, that we are more and more at risk of not having professional people in the positions to manage those funds. And I still believe to this day that anybody where the township continues to grow either has to move into a form of cityhood or move into a mayoral form of government where you hire a professional city manager to actually run a budget of this size. So I'm here passionately saying that, Paul Brown is a guy who's a CPA. He's already indicated and shown you all, the kind of qualifications that he had when he was treasurer. He's giving up because he's a lifelong resident here. He didn't move here 10 years ago, 20 years ago, 30 years ago. He's lived here his whole life. And for him to be in a position to take over, Pat, what you've done here is a gift. And I think that if we can, I was just startled when I started to hear the rumblings of others. And Dale Stewart's a fine man, and I enjoyed serving under him. But at the same time, look at he's even indicated he's not long for the job. And it just doesn't seem to me to be any question in my mind that, Paul Brown, even though, yes, he's my neighbor, no question. When I first met him, it was a very funny exchange, and I never thought I'd ever become friends or think anything about the guy. But over the years, he's engaged in a lot of my businesses. He's helped me tremendously with things that I needed, the kind of brain power that he had, and then I've observed him at the township level making some tremendous changes. Jose seems like a very nice man. I don't know him, and I'm not aware of any particular accomplishments. I'm aware of a lot of accomplishments from Mr. Brown. And so again, I leave the podium just suggesting that you all should really consider that. And I want to also remind you that just because somebody's an incumbent, we've seen people get removed from office by the electoral. So why not allow somebody to have the chance that can be a plug and play, and then turn around and then run for office? He's the guy, and I hope you all support him. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't all rush to the podium at one time. I don't want anybody to get hurt. But go ahead. We don't want to stampede.
Probably going to wish you to come up rather than me. But I've been around. I don't live in Independence Township, but I've had a business here for over 50 years, and my taxes I've been paying this year was $140,000 between the township and the village. So I've been a pretty strong resident for many, many years. And my best friend that all of you knew was Brooks Patterson. And when Brooks got real ill, I was by his side, and one of the comments he made to me was important, and I think it'd be good to mention here. So Brooks laid out 4 different people that he could do his job. He felt these 4 people would be the ones that I think I'd be comfortable with. So the first thing I did was I started getting hold of the people that he made the recommendation for. First person I called, pretty classy guy. He was a U.S. Congressman, Mike Bishop. And I got hold of Mike and said, Mike, I want to have lunch with you. We have lunch, and I said, Mike, you're one of the 4 that Brooks chose to take over the county. And I thought he gave one of the classiest answers, and I think it's my point for the group we got here, because we're all talented people. I've known you guys. A lot of you have supported me over the many, many years. And so, but Mike stepped up to the plate and said, Forrest, he says, he said, I'm going to turn you down. I said, why not? That's a nice job, because he was just getting ready to get out of the U.S. government. He says, because no matter how hard I work and how hard I keep my, nose to the grindstone, I'm not going to be doing as good a job as Brooks did. And he says, all I'm going to get is criticism for 4 years. And my point here is Pat's done a super job for many years. And when you're dumping out a bundle like I am every year for taxes, you tend to look for things that are wrong. Haven't found anything with this guy. He's ran a good ship, so whoever gets the nomination tonight, if you use him as your guideline, I think we'll run a good operation here. Independent Township, I'm proud to be here, and I'm always proud to tell somebody that this is where I'm from. So, Pat, congratulations on the job that you've done. It's been very good. I never will forget the day you and I met. And a lady brought him out to my office and said, "You've been around here a number of years, Forrest, and we've got a new gentleman here who wants an opportunity to run the township." And I said, "Oh, good." So they introduced me to Pat. And Pat says, "Well, you got any suggestions?" I says, "Yeah." I says, "I got one big one." I says, "Doesn't matter what your name is, you treat everybody equal." And I've seen in our neighboring communities, won't mention any names, but things do happen that because of names. So in our case, I think Pat's treated everybody equal for the time he's been here. And I'm proud to have him as our supervisor, so if whoever gets the job, if you look to his operation and follow that, I'll be 100% happy and support you 100%. Thank you.
Thanks, Forrest. Hi, Kurt.
Kurt Carson, 5000 Paul Avenue. First of all, I'd like to thank all of the board members here for serving. You've done a great job. Pat, I want to congratulate you on a great job over the last, 10 years?
9.
Roughly? 9? Okay. I can be wrong once.
That's all right.
So, but anyway, you've done a great job, and so now we want to put somebody else in there that will hopefully do a great job too. I know most of the board members up here, some I have great relationships with. Jose, I love you. You're a great guy. But I want to indicate that I'm going to throw my support behind Dale Stewart. He was also a great supervisor. He was a supervisor for 12 years here. He did a great job. He's been supervisor and city managers in other communities, and he's got the experience. I think that a couple other members that are also running have some good experience, but at this point in time, for a short period of time, Dale Stewart would be our best option. And by the way, Jeff, I want to thank you for your service too.
Thank you, Kurt. Hello.
Hello. My name is John Anderson. My address is 9412 Sashabaw Road in Independence Township. I've been a resident of Clarkston for more than 40 years, so I've been hearing all these 25s and 40s, and I'm feeling a little aged myself. I guess I'd like to start by first congratulating Mr. Kittle on his great tenure that he's had here with the district, and like to talk a little bit about, there's a lot of things that have taken place in his time, over the last 10 years. We've grown exponentially, as well as not only that, the world of living with technology and new age stuff is very different from when he began. I think, though, one of the things that sticks out about Mr. Kittle, myself, and all of his success is my in-laws were personally touched by Mr. Kittle. They lived over off of Maple Street, off of Dixie Highway, and they had a gas leak off of Dixie at one of the gas stations back in about 2015 or 16. And obviously it wasn't Mr. Kittle's role to get heavily involved in the situation, but it contaminated the water table for the entire street. And it was a big problem for them. The entire street was struck with large bills to redo all this, and Mr. Kittle fought tooth and nail himself personally with the state to get that rectified. And those are the kind of things, digging in, beyond his call of duty and digging in and connecting with with the families and making sure all of those things get taken care of made a huge impact on my family here locally. And so I want to, congratulate you on a great tenure, but those are the kind of things that I feel like last for a long time. Is really, we do, obviously everybody's talked at length about qualifications and experience and so on and so forth. As we've seen over the last 9 years, we've got many of qualified candidates on this staff that's trying to achieve this opportunity. And but I think that Jose Aliaga has really shown with obviously his voter count just kind of speaks volumes with how connected he is with the people, willing to work with the people. Dale Stewart, I was obviously here, for how many years Dale was here, was great. I think a decade though, not only from a leadership perspective, just understanding and being able to keep pace with technology and activity and how things get done today is a completely different era of what that speed looks like. I've personally witnessed Jose, not only I don't belong to his church, but I originally met him at Mount Zion, and I've which is probably about 15 years ago, and so I think that not only is his ability to connect with people, but his experience of leading. A couple people have mentioned leadership. Is a big area of concern as we go through this next 11 months. Jose has led numerous sizable groups, both in the county and locally here in our community over the last 10 years. This feverishly hard work ethic doesn't just stop at him actually talking with people and getting to know people and understanding what his concerns are. He's actually led large groups, wherever you sit on a political party. He led a lot the Oakland County GOP party through our last election. He's actually had the experience of leading people, pulling together teams, building teams, and connecting with teams. And for those reasons and some of the other reasons mentioned earlier, obviously he's got the education, but the experience. If we've got 11 months to try and be able to see, this is a perfect opportunity. You've got 11 months. You don't know if the leadership is there because he doesn't have the experience. Only way he's going to get the experience, he's got the education, he's got the connections, he's got the support from the community, obviously in the votes. I say give Jose Aliaga that 11 months to earn that opportunity and show you what kind of leader he is. Thank you.
Thanks, John. God, I almost forgot about Maple Road and that Lust site.
Yes.
That was a terrible carcinogen that was leaking into the groundwater. And
Yep.
I know the state wasn't going to give us a dime when we started. And then when we were done, and I asked that lady to bring her grandchild down to drink the water out of that one contaminated well, she looked to the left, looked to the right, looked at the guy across and said, "Write the check." So I completely forgot about that. Thanks for reminding me.
No, but those are the things that last. There's a lot of things that go on, and you've done an amazing job in so many facets. But that's reaching out and going to the people and going beyond your job.
Thanks. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thanks, John, for coming up. Next guest would like to come up? Come on, there's still some of yous out there. Going once, going twice. Stefan, how about we open it up to the TV audience? Anybody out in TV land would like to make a comment?
Can we ask what's that weird number that doesn't look like a phone number?
I don't know what it is. If anybody's out there, we can't hear you. I see Joette and Bill. You guys hear us? You might want to unmute yourself. Nothing, Joette. I can't hear you.
Jumping for joy.
Yeah. Hey, I can't do. Can I just have her call me? And we can just put it on the speakerphone?
Stefan can't unmute her himself.
Steph, can you unmute her? Hang on 1 minute.
I can bring
me now?
Yes, I can.
Yes.
Well, after listening to most of the interviews Joy Combs, 9740 Reese Road, Clarkston, Michigan, and a 5-year resident of the township. I listened to the interviews last week, and I don't know how many supervisors I've seen over the years. And I didn't know Dale Stewart when he was supervisor. But I do think that we need someone to do this transition who has experience. But I have followed Dale Stewart. Sort of, I know that he was the city manager of Mortonville. I know that he worked for Kegel Harbor or Sylvan Lake. I'm not really sure which. He was our supervisor for a period of time, and I don't know what he did before that. I certainly think that nobody's going to fill Pat Kittle's shoes because they're not Pat Kittle. But I do think that transition time needs somebody that's had current experience in leadership, knows the departments, and even though they may not know the people in the departments, and I would support Dale Stewart, though we are not friends or anything else. I just think that from his interview and his experience, he is the person, and I do support. I just think that that's a person who needs to take it. The learning curve will be much lower for him than any of the other candidates.
Thanks, Joette.
Thank you.
Bill, anything to add?
No, I'll go with that.
Good idea. I know Joette. I don't want her backhanding you or nothing. All right, thanks, guys. Anybody else? Anybody else out there in TV land? Please unmute yourself and introduce yourself.
We better mute ourselves.
I see a Tracy. I see a Tara. I see a Susan Auger. Anybody care to address the board? All right, is everybody, are you guys trying to unmute yourself? I know this is a pain in the neck. Nothing, Steph? All right. Sorry, if you're out there trying to communicate with us, we cannot hear you or see you. So I have no idea if anybody's out there waving frantically saying, hey, I got something I got to say.
The other part, just to let them know that if you've done it before, that chat, they can raise their hand so you physically see something.
Yeah.
So maybe they just don't want to speak.
Yeah, I do. Again, I'm at a loss. I don't see the control panel, so I have to defer. I know that there has been, and thank you for coming in and sharing your thoughts and opinions. I also know there's been a lot of letters that have been addressed to the township board over the last week or so. I mean, we could run through the names and let people know who's supporting who. We could read the letters. I guess I'm looking for some direction from the board on how you want to handle this.
I'd like to make a motion to have the letters read into the record.
Yeah, I mean, I can support that, so.
The fact that the folks aren't in the room doesn't mean their voice shouldn't be as clear as the other folks who are in the room.
Okay. So I guess the motion on the table is to read the letters. I'll support it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no.
Am I allowed to ask another question before we go there? I'm curious for the people that are here in the audience today. Can you raise your hands if you watched all the interviews? Okay, thanks.
Okay. Who wants to start?
I'll read some letters.
If he wants to read his letters, then go ahead.
Okay.
And read them.
All the board members received, I think, all the endorsements that came over. I won't read all of them. I have one from Carolyn Morrison. You guys know her from the Senior Center, who has endorsed me. Joe, who is the president of the Friends of the Senior Center. He was on the Planning Commission, the ZBA, Safety Path, a resident since '78. He has indicated that he believes I'm the clear choice. You've seen that. These letters, I'm going to go through them, and for me, they meant a lot more. I appreciate everyone's endorsements. I think there were some others, but I'm going to go through these. I have an endorsement from, and it's unusual for employees of the township to endorse in a situation like this. They don't do that, and there's a good reason for it. They don't know who's going to get elected, and that would certainly be uncomfortable for any employee to endorse who they think would be good. And I think that's wise of them. But there are a number of employees who have left employment recently who, in fact, have sent me letters, and I think I'd like to have those heard. Dear Independence Township.
Please.
Excuse me?
I'm sorry, a point of order, if I could. It seems a bit prejudicial to have Mr. Brown read his own letters of endorsement. It might be better if a neutral party were to read whatever it was, because right now he is more campaigning than he is actually just reading the letters for the record.
These letters have all been distributed to the township trustees, ma'am? And
that's fine. But you're reading into the record, and the record is now including a preamble to Mr. Brown's own endorsements.
Hey, Paul?
I would support that. Mr. Brown is not going to be as even-handed with other endorsements for the other candidates.
Yeah, because Pat,
I'll read them.
No,
I can't vote.
I know, but it shouldn't be, I think, somebody that...
So hold on a second. I'd like to hear from the attorney. I'm a board member, and I have a right to speak at this meeting. I'm a sitting board member. Now, I made pretty clear at the original board meeting that I thought there were a lot of things that were unfair, that maybe I shouldn't even participate in this. But I've been told that I can participate in this. I can't vote for myself, and I won't. I originally didn't even want to vote for anybody. I thought it would be unfair for me to vote for anyone else because I'm biased towards myself. I said that a couple weeks ago. Every one of us is biased for ourselves. So I've made that clear. But I believe I have a right to read these endorsements that came to the board.
The question that's being challenged is if Mr. Brown should be reading his own endorsement letters or if it should be by another member of the board.
Well, if there's a dispute, it should be decided by the board. The board has already passed a motion to read the endorsement letters. If there's a dispute as to who should read them, then we should do it by vote, motion of the board.
I will make a motion to Carrie Newberg or clerk to read those letters. It will be the right thing to do, since Carrie's in charge of elections.
Okay.
Second. Second, okay.
So we'll have a vote.
All in favor?
Yep. Yeah, motion's been made, motion's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did you ask for opposed?
Opposed?
No. But
No.
2 to 5, it sounds like. Let Carrie read them.
Problem. She has them. Yep.
So which ones? I have them all here.
Let's do this. Well, your problem is I've copied and pasted them onto one sheet of paper, so I'd rather you read the originals than have any chance of an error there.
Okay, so Dale, am I reading all?
That's not necessary. I'd like Kim Fegley's read.
I've got them in alphabetical, so what about Belcher? Yes?
Dave Belcher.
Okay. To the Township Board, after watching interviews, it seems to me that there are some very qualified candidates that have applied to replace the retiring Township Supervisor. Based upon the interview and my prior working experience with Mr. Brown in the Township, in my opinion, Paul Brown would be the candidate that would have the most working knowledge of the current day-to-day operations and the qualifications to ensure a seamless transition. That's retired building official David Belcher. Next I have Wendy.
Yes, please.
Supervisor Kittle, during my tenure as the Finance Director for Independence Township, I worked closely with then Treasurer Brown on multiple projects. While my strength with finances lies in spending time with the details, Paul's strength is in his ability to quickly review complex financial situations, digest the data presented, and quickly come up with an innovative idea and solution for the betterment of the township. Examples include running different financial scenarios during union negotiations, working with MERS on funding options to address legacy costs, and evaluating township healthcare plans to ensure fairness to both the township and its employees. Paul understands the importance of sound financial controls, and during my tenure, we often work together to introduce and implement sound financial policies and controls. Often I would seek his advice on financial situations, as his big picture advice often brought a new perspective. As the elected treasurer, Paul was not afraid